Okay, before I start, everything that I'm about to say is for entertainment purposes only. You hear that, fact checkers? Excellent. So I've already said that leading up to yesterday's event, what we saw in Oklahoma yesterday afternoon and evening, there were no chemtrails. No chemtrails at all. And that is a rare sight nowadays. Not seeing them spraying the skies, creating that haze, okay? Because that precedes most of the severe weather events. Last time that it did not happen was April 26th. April 27th was a really bad day severe weather-wise. I had to go into my storm shelter for a cell that developed and moved over the area around, I don't know, it was around dinner time that day. And of course, we saw those tornadoes, Sulphur, Ardmore, a bunch of others, okay. No chemtrails preceding that event. Fast forward to this event. No chemtrails. Skies were perfectly clear the evening before, perfectly clear except for the just air quality the day of, yesterday. And it has been my experience, my observations, that whenever they do the spraying, they're laying a grid, but they also are trying to kill developing storms or inhibit convection from developing. Because with the last non-event, they were chemtrailing all over the place. What happened? Our high temperatures ended up being about 3 or 4 degrees below what was expected. Well, we needed to have reached that in order for the cap to fully break. The cap did not fully break. Guess what? The storms that day, what was that, like Monday, last Monday, the 15th? Storms were, for the most part, north and south of 40, okay? There was one that developed late after peak heating had passed, developed near here, went severe, northern Oklahoma City, okay? But the point is, they did that intentionally so that the severe risk would be reduced for Oklahoma City in the 40 corridor. We didn't see that yesterday. They did not do those operations, okay? And leading up to it, I saw, going back to the day before, okay, pulsing with the radar. Now, there's been multiple reports, people saying, and you can see it, that the radars, they don't just have the typical Doppler, detection capability, whatever you want to call it, okay? They have the capacity to send out frequency pulses like this. And through ionization of the atmosphere, that's what those frequency pulses are doing. They charge the environment, okay? They can charge the environment ahead of development. They can aim it at a storm to charge the storm at that time, get it to track in a certain direction, use different radar sites to more or less ping. Think of it like the little levers on a pinball machine. So this way you're sitting here, ping it from this direction, pinging it from that direction. That's what they do with hurricanes. That's how they help steer hurricanes where they want them or where they don't want them, okay? So we saw this happening leading up to yesterday's event and during, okay? So to recap what happened yesterday, these are the warnings in the local storm reports. You had up here the initial development in the northeast Texas panhandle. The northernmost cells, which I said at the time, were left moving, meaning they were breaking away, they were tracking toward the east-northeast. The southernmost cell was not. It was a right mover. So you had it split. So it developed here. Then what would have been a cluster split off. You had this activity just severe. Some of these warnings were yesterday evening, okay? But at the time, there were no tornado warnings. It was just the severe thunderstorm warnings for hail and wind with those northernmost cells. The one that produced all the severe weather in Oklahoma City area and points west was the southernmost cell right here. And it tracked right along this path. You had another cell that actually developed southeast Texas panhandle area, far northwest Texas, tracked up, even produced a tornado, brief one near Washita, okay, as it merged on the forward flank of the predominant cell, this main one up here. It merged. right in the Canadian Blaine Caddo County area, okay? That cell, whenever that merger happened, weakened. Then as soon as it got over, would have been southwest of El Reno, the area of rotation rapidly intensified. That's what then swung in to the Yukon area, okay? So, as you can see, it went, the last tornado warning was generally along and west of 35 in the OKC area. Then severe thunderstorm warning was posted, and then it just quickly fell apart, okay? Then you had additional development up here that merged, intensified north, then kind of trailed off. Okay, that's a recap. Now I want to show you color-coded chart of what I had posted, what I had shared yesterday morning, well in advance, showing where I had seen the frequency pulses from the area radars. Check it out. So here we go. We have this beam right here, and these did not all happen at the same time. It was spread out, because when they do the ionization, they often do it 24, 48 hours in advance, okay? But there are also pulses, multiple pulses, yesterday during the event. I'll show you that here in just a little bit as well, okay? If there's enough time, because this video is going to be probably maxing out. So, okay. Here we have this beam right here, emanating from the Lubbock radar. You have the dry line right here that's set up after this had been shooting out. This charged the atmosphere for the eastern Texas Panhandle, far northwest Texas, and all of western and northern Oklahoma, okay? Then you had a separate one up by the Vance Air Force Base radar. Emanated from that. Shot down here. You had one from the radar, Oklahoma City one, south of Tinker Air Force Base. Shooting that way. You had the crisscross. You had three focusing right there. Where did we see the development? You can go back on the video and see. We had the development right there. Okay. The northern beam. The northernmost cells that were the left movers tracked right along there. The right moving tracked literally along that beam right toward the radar south of Tinker Air Force Base. It is my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, theoretical, that the purpose of this one was to draw the northernmost cells away to cause the splitting action right there. Because what would have happened is if those storms were allowed to naturally mature, they would have formed a cluster. The tornado risk would have actually decreased, ultimately. Damaging winds would have become the predominant hazard, as well as hail. They wanted to show. They wanted to draw it in to the Oklahoma City area. So you break that off. Leaves this cell right here. The totally untapped environment, okay? So you see this other beam right in here. You had that other cell coming up through here. You had the other beam that had already pulsed up through here, right where that merger happened. It's my opinion that the purpose of this one was to make sure that it regained strength as it approached the Oklahoma City area. Then you had this other one emanating from the Wichita radar down. Guess where that is? That's near Yukon. Then you have this other one that I saw night before shooting toward the northeast of Oklahoma City. Go back to that other graphic. See where that blow-up of convection happened last night. All those severe thunderstorm warnings. That's in the area of where this right in here, those 1, 2, 3, happened. Well, technically the fourth one right here. You can see. That's where we had that intensification there. What happened east? As soon as that primary cell tracked just outside of Oklahoma City, it just went poof. Poof. I could go on about this, as well as other things that show that geoengineering was in play. But I run out of time. I just want you to ask, how much weather that we actually see is natural